Congress is on the verge of a major overhaul in immigration that will empower the worst people in the country to force mass deportations. And helping carry the bill across the finish line are a slew of Democratic collaborators. The Senate is expected this week to advance the Laken-Riley Act, which is named after a nursing student who was murdered by an undocumented immigrant in Georgia last year. Republicans have exploited Laken's name and death to demonize migrants and push legislation that's a stealth takeover of federal immigration powers. Because what the law would do if enacted is require the feds to take into custody and potentially deport any undocumented immigrant who is arrested for theft, even if they weren't yet convicted. That could leave vulnerable individuals like dreamers who've been in the U.S. since they were children to deportation if they're ever wrongly accused of shoplifting or some other petty theft. But the destruction of due process for immigrants isn't even the worst part of the bill, because another component of it allows state officials to file federal lawsuits to force the government to deport either specific individuals or entire classes of individuals. Here's Aaron Reichlin-Melnick, a senior fellow at the American Immigration Council, explaining how it would work in practice in a column for MSNBC. Quote, "The law would allow state attorneys general to force a secretary of state to invoke a Cold War-era law that authorizes the U.S. government to issue sweeping visa bans to countries that do not accept the deportation of their own nationals, even if the secretary had chosen not to invoke that authority. Those countries that currently do not accept deportations of their own nationals are known as recalcitrant countries, and they include China, India, Venezuela, Cuba, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Pakistan, Russia, and Somalia. So what this could ultimately lead to is someone like Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filing suit to have entire classes of people from China or India or Somalia deported, and conservative judges rubber stamping those lawsuits to force the federal government's hand. If passed, this law could ultimately serve as a legal basis for Trump's mass deportation plans, which is why Democrats should resist it with everything they've got. That's not happening, though. This week, the House passed the Laken-Riley Act, the first bill passed in the new session of Congress, and 48 Democrats collaborated to pass the bill. It now heads to the Senate, where legislation requires 60 votes to advance, and Republicans only have 52 seats, so they need 8 Democrats to cross the aisle and vote with them to advance it. And it looks like they're going to get 9. Senators Ruben Gallego, Mark Kelly, Jackie Rosen, Tammy Duckworth, Gary Peters, Jon Ossoff, John Hickenlooper, Angus King, who's an independent who caucuses with Democrats, and finally, John Fetterman have all announced they will support the bill. Fetterman, who just a few years ago was touting his wife's biography as an undocumented immigrant to curry support from Democrats while running for the Senate. Now Fetterman's going on Fox News to promote anti-immigration bills like this.
And now, if you're here illegally and you're committing crimes and those things, I don't know why anybody thinks that it's controversial that they all need to go.
They all need to go. Someone should inform that ogre that undocumented immigrants commit crimes at rates far lower than U.S.-born citizens. Also, John Fetterman's wife should leave him. As annoying as resistance libs were in 2017, I prefer them over the collaborationist libs of today. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our new videos. Also, if you want to see Means Morning News in its complete form, not just the clips we post here, head on over to Means TV and get access to all our new episodes and our entire backlog, plus tons of other great movies and original TV shows.